Good morning, everybody. This is Martin John, and we are here to talk about the Tao Te Ching, my favorite subject. The Tao Te Ching is an ancient text. It was written in the 6th century BC, and I know that that's, like sometimes like that can wash over you, like all right, it was written a long time ago, 600 years before Jesus, right? Like so, before the Common Era, before Jesus, however we want to look at it. This text was written. And so, when we look at, and this was written before there was even a standardized written language. What that means is that this was really important, right? Nobody wrote a novel, right? Novels weren't even, anything that we needed, but eventually, like one of the first things around, the Iliad and the Odyssey were written after this, right? Story, which were allegory, which were telling about life and what these were the things that were being written, right? The Old Testament of the Bible was written around this same time, right? And so things that were being written at this time were not written for fun. It was written because people were like, oh, this writing thing is going to change everything. And now that we can write, we can lock things in and we can remember them. And what's wonderful about thinking about that, and especially when we think about that in terms of the Tao Te Ching and look at the first verse of the Tao Te Ching, we can see in the first verse of the Tao Te Ching. So this was written 600 BC. One of the first things that were written. That's why we call it an ancient text, right? Ancient really just kind of refers to prehistory, right? Before things were really being written down. And so that references this, right? So this was written 600 BC. Words were just starting to get written. And what does the first verse of the Tao Te Ching say? Words are particular. They cannot express Tao. It's already like exposing that, like, I don't care how much we invent from here on out. I don't care what we do to remember. I don't care what we do to put this down on paper. You're not going to be able to even, like, they've been speaking and they've had language, but we didn't have written language. And this is like words in particular, they cannot express Tao. And it's like all that writing does is expose words. Even in language, even listening to me, you get more than if I were to just write this down. And so as we look at this text, as we look at these things, we have to remember the words that we're going to say if we wake up one day and, I've said this before, right? Oh, I wake up and I'm sad. Well, okay, go ahead and be sad. Be that which you are at this moment. But the word sad isn't what you are, right? You're so much more than that. You're so much bigger than that. You're so much, you can experience more than that, and so, yeah, I guess, yesterday I read through number one with Sandy. And now I guess I'll just start going through one again today as I never know what I'm going to talk about, but as I was talking about how old it was, I know that I've had guests in the past that, when I talk to them about this, they talk about Jesus. And, just because they're Christian or whatnot. And that's fine. I don't have any problem with that. But just the fact that this was written before that, right? This was written before Jesus. And we look at, religion, and I talk about the four brains, right? There's the heart brain, the gut brain, heart brain, head brain, and then I talk about the spirit brain, right? And that gut brain and the heart brain, they, there's different ways of interacting with the world. One is harsh. It's like sort of Old Testament sort of stuff. And then there's the heart brain, the loving brain. That's the actions of like Jesus and all of that. But that's, like where God of the Old Testament was and where Jesus was. And there's something interesting about that, because God of the Old Testament is a logic God. That's an interesting thing to me, where we're at the gut level while the God of the Old Testament is at the logic level, right? There's ego, and there's so much, praise me sort of kind of work and revenge and all of that kind of stuff going on. And then we all elevate, right? We move to the heart brain, and we learn how to love through the actions of Jesus. But Jesus is a spirit brain being. Julie, how are you today?
I'm all right. I'm just listening to you, and the thing that's really springing out to me is all of these things, all of these books, these texts, they're all man-interpreted and written.
Yeah.
They're all inspired and then produced by us through that inspiration. I think the other thing that really rings to me throughout my very, young and youthful 59 years is that these are stories. And when you read or hear stories, you usually end up with your mind or your heart or your gut filling in around the lines, reading between the lines. It's something that you can interact with. And I think that's what they are. I think that's what they all are. They're all riddles, Martin John.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, I absolutely agree with that.
I personally, and this is quite a kind of a big share, I suppose, I can never put my word, I can never give a word to what I see or feel in this space, this experience that I'm having, ever. The word God, Jesus, or anything just doesn't feel enough.
No, and some people might get a little offended at this, but I always look at, as I read the Tao, and when the Tao starts with something like words in particular, they cannot express Tao. If any other religion or ancient text or religious text or spiritual text were to start with that, I would pay attention a little bit more. You know what I mean?
Because it gives you choice.
Right.
It gives the idea that you can or you can't.
Right.
It's so rigid.
It's telling you right off the bat, this isn't it. Like you're going to have to do, and then people that would, like pick up a book and say, this is truth. I love the fact that the Tao starts with words in particular. They cannot express Tao. They cannot express the truth of what Tao is. We don't know. We can't do that. And if you were humble enough to be able to write something down and say, all right, well, I'm utilizing words.
That's what I'm doing right now, Martin John.
Right. Absolutely. I'm utilizing words, so it's going to fall short.
Yeah.
And if any text were to start with that, you just get more respect from me, because you're recognizing your limits off of the medium that I've talked about this within art, like when you're making art, when you have like if you want to make something, you could start with drawing. Like drawing is, I think, one of the most, because drawing can be anything. You can draw with color, you can draw with shape, you can even draw and, fold paper and do that. And it can become, a drawing can be sculptural. And so, depending on your medium, you're going to have different limitations. And drawing is one of those things that, in my mind, it just, like you can draw anything. Like there are even those videos.
You could draw something as 2D on a piece of paper, and yet your finished product can be 3D.
Yeah, absolutely. But then let's look at the paintings of Lascaux in the cave paintings, right? Mm-hmm. And they utilized the undulations of the rock to paint, so that there was more, and that's just a drawing, right? So they used the natural kind of undulations of the stone to put dimension in the drawings that they were making. Yeah. Yeah. And so you can even do that. So, when you're drawing, you have less limitations, but there are still limitations. When you paint, there's a limitation. When you use words, there's a limitation. And that's the thing. There are all these limitations out there. And this text, and I express that it's a text because the first 3 words of this text are words are particular. That means, and then the next line, of course, they cannot express that. Words are particular. Words like drawing or like painting or like sculpture, there's limitations in that. There are limitations in this medium.
It's like
there are not limitations in Tao.
No. Somebody said to me once that they could listen to me reading the telephone directory.
Yeah.
They could listen to me reading the telephone directory, but they still got something from it that either made them feel calm, peaceful, or mostly sleepy. But that's another way of expressing that words are not particular.
The word,
There's something else there that is indescribable, really.
Yeah, the words are particular.
Yeah.
But you are not, right? And
That's
you
right.
expressing that, and it may be for them the sound of your voice and the way that you read, but there's also more there. There's more even to that, because even in you not reading out loud or not being heard, you're putting something into the universe. You're putting
That's
something
right.
out there that everybody gets to experience in some way. Even if they never meet you, you are contributing to the energy of the universe that everybody is attached to, everybody is connected to. Every cell in the universe is connected to it, and you are going through what you go through so that consciousness can continue to evolve and grow and learn.
Do you know what a lovely pick this morning? Because I've been sat here with Bobby on my lap, my boyfriend, as I call him, but I'm not allowed to call him my boyfriend anymore because he said it's embarrassing. Right? That's Bobby the cat. He says, "Don't tell everyone you're my boyfriend. What do the other cats think?"
Yeah.
You're using me, he said, to gain favour.
That's right.
He's a clever cat for only having a couple of brain cells. He's a very clever cat. His mum says he's only got a couple of brain cells, but I know she's wrong. But anyway, I'm sat here with Bobby on my lap, and I am just writing some more of the journey that we went on. I've rewritten this paragraph particularly, and I'm very much happier with the words that are particular to this page. The words are particular, and still I could read that if I never went on that journey and I knew nothing about it. What can I write on here that can put someone with their own experiences, because that's what they're going to have when they read it. They're going to have their own experience of this story that I'm telling. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be particularly true. In my case, it's true enough to me, my experience. But it's a long, hard road writing this, Martin John, because the words are particular. So I've had to come back to it time and again and just write a little bit and then rewrite that a little bit. I think this book could well be finished in 2037.
Another 11 years. That's no big deal. That's a good. That's good. That's good. You got a number?
Yeah, it'll be enough not to make me rich. So we're going to go for the number 74 today.
Oh, don't cut yourself. 74. People are not naturally afraid to die. It is what we are born to do. Fear of death is important if you want to rule over people. However, you must first artificially instill this fear in their hearts. To accomplish this, you kill as an example to control the masses. Since the beginning of time, there's been one executioner. Trying to take its place will lead to nothing good. As a novice with the master carpenter's tools, you're going to cut yourself. I think about that, and I think about you writing. Okay, so stay with me.
I am.
So when you want to control something, this is about control. This is really about, it's about control. So fear of death is important if you want to rule over people. So that's the big sort of arc. But, even with you writing, you're trying, like, this is your book or your writing or the text that you're writing or whatever it is, it is a being in and of itself. It does have a life of its own and does have, I would go as far as to say that it has a consciousness and of its own, even though it's not like ours, right? And so when it talks about, I love this little line because it tells such a story. Fear of death is important if you want to rule over people. However, you must artificially instill this fear in their hearts. It's interesting that it's kind of giving you instruction how to rule over people because Tao doesn't care. If this is what you want to do, this is how you're going to do it. To accomplish this, you kill as an example to control the masses. As you are writing your book, if we were to take this story and you want to control it, you just button it down and make it what you want, regardless of its wishes to be something else.
Like changing the wording.
Right. Right. When you're inspired to do something and you write it, that's not to say you shouldn't edit it and do other things like that. You can work with it, but it's like, the fact that you're saying it's going to take 11 years, you could do this in 11 days. You could turn it into something that you manhandle and control and you just whip it out. If the destination was your thing.
Yeah.
And then there comes this last part. Since the beginning of time, there's been one executioner. And that executioner is the only reason that we're talking about executioner is because we were talking about fear of death. So, there's one thing that is going to lay the life out for you, lay the road out for each and every one of us. And that's Tao, right? Like that's what this is referencing. Trying to take its place will lead to nothing good. Trying to make a road for this book through your control is going to lead to nothing good.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with that.
Right.
Yeah. I'm enjoying it. I'm actually enjoying keeping it company. That sounds absolutely crazy. But
no, and that's how I see it with my house. My house is my house is an entity. My house has a consciousness. My house holds energy. And when I got here, it was like in all states of disarray. And I've been slowly building it. And I'm in this relationship with my house. I have a relationship with it in which I'm like, hey, I'm going to take care of you.
That's right.
And I can't, and I'm not going to be able to take care of you in a way that is going to put my care for you in the hands of someone else. So I'm going to do it myself.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it slowly.
I think that you can so influence things that they don't remain as they were. They become something else completely, in which case we kill it. We kill them.
Right.
Kill it.
And there's that one line, if it had a guide, it would be misled. If you try to guide your book to be what you want it to be, you're going to mislead it into a place where it never intended to be.
Yeah,
and then maybe you're going to get what you want, sure. But then someone else is going to have to nurture this other being into existence, because that being has space in this world as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to enjoy it. That's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to enjoy it. It's a lovely, lovely feel when I'm writing it. It's just lovely. So
yeah. Well, and this is the thing. We get inspired. These texts are inspired, and yet they're still just words. And so as we are inspired, we bring this to light, and that affects the world, whether it ever gets printed or not.
Exactly that. Thank you so much, Martin John, for having me on again. Yay!
Oh, I love having you on. It's so good to chat. And that's something we got to remember. It's like the minute I have a thought, the minute I have, this is what sort of postmodernism kind of talked about a bit. It doesn't necessarily need an audience. Like in the, world of the frontal lobe, right? In the world of logic, in the world of finance, in the world of, consumerism and stuff, you need an audience. But the world, and that's what quickens things. There's a term, quickening, in the world of science, in the world of metaphysics and other things like that, where, hundreds of years ago, the amount of progress society saw was minuscule to the amount that we're seeing today on a daily basis, right? The amount of change, the amount of information you have access to, the amount of news that you have access to, because it's all happening so quick, and we're all maturing. Our consciousness, right? Consciousness is maturing that much quicker, and we're moving into this spirit brain where it's going to slow down again. It will slow down again. I mean, I don't know if it'll take 1,000 years to slow down, or if it's going to slow down next week. Who knows? And then things will have to slow down, and as they do, like, once again, like, things will take time. We'll for a long time, there were these relationships, like the relationship with my house or Julie's relationship with the book, like those things take time. Those things, just like a relationship you have with another person, it's like, oh, you got to meet them. You got to get to know them. You got to become friends. You got, like, maybe things happen hot and heavy for a while, but then they slow down. You start to really, really get to know somebody. You get to understand them. You get to grow with them. And that's the same thing with every entity that we encounter. Harry, how are you doing?
Good morning. How are you?
I am well.
So
welcome to Tao of the Day.
Very good. I love what you did with the place. I am so tangential. I play a lot of Dungeons and Dragons. I play a lot of TTRPGs, and I started playing about a couple years ago. And one of the things I noticed and that I love about the game is exactly what you're talking about. Is that you're playing a character, but you have no real control. Like, you can control a lot of the story, but it like rolling the dice determines your success. And it's not like, and it's about letting go and like the control of the world determine how the story goes. A dungeon master can create the world, but they can't tell your story. They can't tell your character's story. So when it's a very deep philosophical and fits right in with what you're talking about. I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And, I think about all of these things like, okay, Dungeons and Dragons, but also social media and also all of these things. Like, all of this stuff are just reflections of what we can do and what experiences we have anyway, right? We can communicate metaphysically, we can communicate through the ether, and and that's difficult. We can move through space, we can communicate, we can do all of these things that social media does. And social media is just making it more obvious. Dungeons and Dragons, as like the Dungeon Master's inspired to alter the world as he is inspired, but he's inspired by the world because he, outside of the gameplay, lives in the world.
They are the referee.
Right.
They're as much of a player. They might have a little bit of strategies and little shenanigans going on behind the screen, as it were. But you like the thing is, sometimes the players go one step above, and all those well-made plans go right down the porcelain sinkhole because they figured out a loophole. They figured out something that I didn't take into account, and
Right.
I have to admit that, and also congratulate them because they figured out the puzzle.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's very
And
enlightening. It's very much a I'm trying to find the word here. It's very much a beautiful expression of an art form, and like you can write stories, you can draw pictures, you can make maps, whatever. And at the same time, the world you're living in depends on how you look at the puzzle. And sometimes it's like not so much like a belief in a god or something like that, but more, hey, things go wrong all the time. It's not about what went wrong; it's how you deal with the problem and how you can still accomplish your task despite your hangups. It's
have you
keep
been
going.
listening to this show for a long time or no?
Not really.
No. So there's a line in this text. So do you know what Tao of the Day is?
I think it's like some like layman term here. Hi, how you doing? Uh, I'm going to say it's very much like inspiring words of the day and using and using logic to sort of like
Okay.
and
So
to feel better. I might be wrong.
No, it's fine. So Tao of the Day references the Tao Te Ching. Have you heard of the Tao Te Ching?
Yes, I've heard of that.
Okay, so the Tao Te Ching is an ancient text. It was written in the 6th century BC, and it consists
Okay.
of 81 chapters. Very short, each chapter. No chapter is more over 250 words. These are all sort of riddles. These are all sorts of ways to experience the world, right? And it's ancient, right? And one of the lines in one of the verses says, like, life is not without its problems, so problems turn out to be no problem at all. And like what you're talking about, like kind of references that a bit, this idea that like it's not a problem. It's something that we have been presented with. This is
Right.
the game. The game is at some point the problem. Life isn't without its problems. And so as we
I'm.
live our life, we we
Yeah. I mean, like,
embrace the fact that that's part of it.
yeah, exactly. Like part of the thing that I love about the game, though, and going back a little bit, is failure is built in as a mechanic. A lot of other games out there, they reward you for doing nothing, and like I feel like when something goes wrong in the game or in life in general, it's like you learn from it. You make adjustments. You become a better person because you learn from your mistakes,
Absolutely.
or and
Absolutely.
like that's the one that so those are like things that I found unique about the about when like it is sort of like very much became a metaphor for me. And the philosophy, that the key philosophy, this is one of my key philosophies I've talked about when I do those little things on this app, is adopt, adapt, improve. It's always like you have your routine, something comes on that changes the routine, how you make that change work within your routine, and then figure out how to maneuver with that new change into your system. And then,
So, because you're on Tao of the Day, I'm going to ask you to pick a number between 1 and 81, and then we're going to address what you just talked about with that.
the number that pops in my head is 37.
37. It's like rolling a dice.
Yes.
37 is
change it. Nat 20. Let's go nat 20.
What's that?
Let's change it to nat 20. But okay. All right, go ahead.
I don't understand what that means.
Wait, all right, never mind.
37 is entitled Inspired Action.
Okay.
And Tao never does anything, yet inspires everything to do. When beings maintain the action of Tao, they spontaneously transform from within. When that transformation acquires a name, external forces inspire action from desire. Actions without identity are free from external goals. Without desire, honoring stillness, all things are at peace. Did any line or word stand out to you in that?
The last bit about silence. The last bit about like everything goes like the way I put it is when I hear that I go, there's so much significance in silence. There's so much like you can do all that. There could be all the action, all the things in the world, but when you have silence, it may be awkward, it may be whatever. It speaks louder than anything else going on because it's like, oh, it's jarring. Oh, pay attention, you know?
Right.
So like what you're saying with what the number 37 is saying to me is that you can learn and grow from, like, you can learn and grow and be inspired by just acknowledging and going through it all, and
Right.
but recognize and acknowledge even the quiet moments, because I'm going to I speak a lot of tangents and metaphors. I'm sorry.
No, please, yeah.
Akira Kurosawa, in his movies, he had a thing called ma, which is sort of a which in the context is you can have this incredible action sequence of like I think you see it best in the Seventh Samurai. Like you have all these major things, and right before the final battle, there's this incredible scene of just rain falling in a small village, people just going about their lives during a rainstorm. There's no action, there's nothing, and as soon as that's like right before the final battle, and it's just sort of like, what are you fighting for? What are these people fighting for? You can't tell that story without having that moment of, oh, I get it, I see the stakes are, I understand, and it's just this silent little rain scene that happens near the end of the movie.
Right.
You know?
And I think that's I'm a big Kurosawa fan, so you're like, I know what you mean. So this starts, right, with this line, Tao never does anything yet inspires everything to do. And when you're filled with action, when you're filled with stuff, it's hard to see that inspiration, right? It's hard to feel that inspiration because you're constantly putting yourself in a state in which, you're acting, you're doing, rather than being able to sit in that stillness. And the thing is as this text goes on, it says, when beings maintain the action of Tao. And Tao is sort of like the dungeon master, right? Like Tao is like the dungeon master doesn't do anything, but he inspires by creating the world. Everybody that's playing, every other player to do something. They have to do something. right?
And
So
sometimes something goes wrong, and it's okay. You can try it again, or something else could happen, and you can I can piggyback off that and make a even cooler move than what I was originally going to do. And it's
yeah,
kind of like, and that's kind of what life is. It's sort of like taking a moment to see what else is going on and bring it all in, micro focusing. It's incredible.
yeah, absolutely. And when, when beings maintain the action of Tao, right? When beings live their lives, they spontaneously transform from within. You just are inspired to do a thing. And you move forward in your life and you're like, oh my God, this is great. And then you might start to define yourself as that. You might start to define yourself as one specific thing and start to control your life rather than allowing that stillness to inspire you yet again. You want that experience that you had before. And then external forces start to inspire you rather than those internal things. The external forces start to inspire you. But it says here, action without identity are free from external goals. Then you just get to live your life. You get to do that thing. It's that moment of Ma, right? You're getting inspired from within. And without desire, honoring stillness, all things are at peace. And then you can find peace within your life. You can find peace within, within the mission or whatever. You can find peace within, even amongst war, and that's that moment of Ma.
Amen. Thank you so much for letting me share.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for coming up and bringing it all up. You too, Harry. Thank you. I'm going to bring up Terilyn. Terilyn, how have you been? Hope you're doing well.
Hello.
Hello.
I am okay. It's been
You're okay. Yeah, that happens. What's going on? How did you get all the dental work done?
No, but I have an appointment Monday.
Okay.
And they called me this week, and I couldn't, with my schedule, couldn't get in this week. So I'm good with Monday. So
okay, good.
Fingers crossed, everything goes well Monday.
I will cross the fingers and toes for you. As this is the third, right?
This is the third. Third time's a charm, right?
Third time is a charm. So what's going on with you these days?
Well, work's a crapshoot, and it's just like things are not going well. It's just IT stuff, but I'm dealing with talking people off the ledge. Been in some meetings with very contentious, like people yelling at each other and stuff like that. And then last night, I get a phone call. Like the end of the day, it wasn't at night. It was like 5:00.
Yeah.
But I got a phone call from my daughter-in-law, and I answered. I'm like, hello. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry to call you like that. But, it's that call you never want to get. There was an accident. My son was in an accident yesterday, so he's in the hospital. Mm-hmm. And I think he's okay. It sounds like he got hit. He works on a dredge, and he got hit in the chest with something. I don't know, some piece of equipment. So they sent him to the trauma center. He's in the hospital, so they kept him overnight. But sounds like he's got like major bruising on his lungs and some other stuff going on. But just kind of shook me up.
Yeah. Well, let's sit with that for a second. Let's not just chalk it off to like this is a big deal. Where does he live?
He lives in Wilmington. He's about an hour and a half away.
An hour and a half away. Okay. And this was last night?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And he's in good hands?
He is. He's in the hospital. His wife was up there. She was going home. I'm going to try to get up, change my meetings around so I can get up there today to go see him.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
Yes. Part of me wonders, is this work's not that important,
That's right. It's wonderful. It's wonderful to be reminded that. Mm-hmm. It's not really that important.
Yeah.
Like on Monday, you're gonna go in to see the dentist, and really like that. You've made time for that. You can make time for your son. You can find that, because especially if we were talking about being inspired, right? Like that. Of course, if it's just like, oh, my heart is open, and you're obviously like hurting because you're not there. It's not like, it's not, I want to express this as best I can. It's not as if your being there is going to do a whole lot, but it's going to do a lot for you. It's going to do a lot for him. It's not going to do a lot for his body. Right. But if you were to, I mean, I know you and I did some energy work together. If you were to just take those little moments that, you know, you have that sadness and kind of breathe into that sadness and know that you are connected to him, you can, because whether you're in that room or in your house, you can offer up energy, or you can offer up a stream of love that will help him heal. And because it's, you know, in his lungs and in his heart, you know, like in his chest, you can just, and I'm sure that like that's what, because like when I feel your pain, I feel it in your chest too.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times like that kind of pain sits in our gut or our solar plexus, but it's up here in your chest. So if you just like breathe, and, you know, like usually I would say breathe into your stomach, but breathe into your chest, breathe into your heart, and like feel like I can feel like on the top of your shoulders there's some weight.
Yeah.
Okay, so feel that weight and really kind of hold the love you have for your son. And connect with your son just like in your mind. And see there's that pain from your shoulders going up the back of your neck. So as you breathe, sort of focus on that and try and calm that down. And then send that love, send that, you know, not that anxiety. We want to kind of relieve ourselves of that anxiety, but that's all of this substance, right? We have all of this substance of fear. We have all of this substance of, you know, being out of control because you do not have control of what's going on with your son because he is far away. But you are still connected. He is still connected to you. And if you can feel that sort of like that weight, you can feel that tightness in your chest, breathe into it and offer your son just from your mind, right? Offer your son just that love and that support. And you know, talk to his, you know, like I was talking a little bit ago about books and the house that I'm working on and stuff having personalities. You know, the lungs of your son have personality. You can connect with them. You can talk with them. You can say, hey guys, I heard you got hit. I just want to offer, you know, this hug. I know it's painful. You're going to get through this. You're in good hands. And I love you, and I'm here, and I love my son, and I love you, and I love this heart, and I hope you're safe. I hope everything is okay in here. And because the thing is, you know, if you lived in a house and that house, you know, if you lived in a house and then the area that you lived in experienced a earthquake, you'd be a little shooken up. I mean, literally. Right? And then living in that area, you'd be afraid of aftershocks and things like that. So the lungs and the heart and all of the things in your son's body might be tense right now.
Right.
You know? And so you can look at them as part of your son, but also they have their own lives. You know, like I know someone who got a donated heart in their body. You know, like that heart came from somewhere else. It's not really part of this person's body. And now it has to integrate. And all of these organs in your son's body have to calm down and know that they're being cared for because they're locked up inside of the body. And your son's probably medicated as all get out right now. You know, and so they're just disoriented. And so that deep substance can get that deep substance of fear, that deep, you know, like the substance of what they just experienced needs to be contained in some sort of a structure. And if you could take your wherewithal, because you aren't medicated, because you're not in pain, because you're here, and you can communicate to your son and your son's body and your son's organs, that could offer a lot more than your anxiety. And then when you see the opportunity to go and visit, you go. And if that's later this afternoon or right now, it's like you'll be ready for it, and you'll be able to arrive after not only communicating with him already, but you also can arrive a little calmer because you have been actively helping him heal.
Right. I love that.
You have a number?
I don't.
Okay, I'm going to pick a random number. Yeah. Number 52. Like Tao, so too you. All things issue from Tao. It is their mother. Then, in their own time, return to Tao. Like Tao, so too you act in the world of manifestation. When you recognize you are the mother of your experience, you can identify the children your actions birth. Loving them as your children, you are free from sorrow. Choose not to recognize your motherhood, a victim filled with desire and judgment. There's no end to your turmoil. Look into the darkness and learn how to yield. Not allowing your senses to guide you, you will find peace in every crevice. I want to say I did use the random number generator on that one. I did not pick that on purpose. This is what I mean. This is what I mean by there's magic in all of this, and that we are connected. For the fact that you are connected to Tao, the fact that you are connected to your son, the fact that this is the one that comes up and it talks about being a mother, and it talks about look into the darkness. What we're saying when we're looking into our bodies to connect with your son, that is looking into the darkness. Learn how to yield. It's not allowing your senses to guide. Your senses are you're not there. Your senses are telling you you can't help. Your senses are telling you that this is scary. But if you don't allow your senses to guide you, you will find peace in every crevice. You will find peace within yourself, and you will help your son find peace within himself.
Yeah. Oh, I love that one. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Oh, I knew you would make me feel better. Thank you.
And I'm being quiet now. We can just sit here. You don't have to run off.
Okay.
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 I'm just allowing this sort of space because there's a lot going on.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting you said with the pain in my chest and my shoulders, because I was feeling it there, and I usually feel it in my stomach.
Yeah. Yeah. This is like, and that's the thing. We're all connected. And so when you come up and I get to talk with you, just by me kind of focusing, where is it, and connecting with you, I can sense that. I can sense those things because we are all connected. I don't care how far you are from your son. You're going to be connected to him more than I can be connected to you. Right. And then there's like, that's the wonderful, magic of all of this,
Yeah.
And then, yes, okay, at the end of all this, you're still going to have to do your work and be like, what did I experience? What is my experience of this? And then have a wonderful ability to be able to see what your experience, because your son is having an experience you know nothing about, right? And you're having an experience he knows nothing about, but he is in the middle of. But then you're also like, this just might be an opportunity to not be in a meeting today that doesn't need, that, can be an email or whatever.
Yes, exactly.
And you can be like, look, my son is in urgent care, or my son is in a trauma unit. I have to go. Like, I can't, like, nobody is going to be like, but we have to get this, we got to get this release out. It's just like, you can do that without me this time.
Right. No, I have other people that can help with that, but.
Absolutely. I mean, you're
I'm not that important.
Yeah. You're going to be able to see your son today, I hope. And I'm so grateful that you called me, because I'm glad that you can start offering him healing now. Mm-hmm. And when you get there, your presence is just going to do that much more.
Right.
Because you're his mother. Like, that's what, that's what we want, right? We want to be held. And like Tao is holding us all the time, and you are holding him all the time.
Right. Like, I know he doesn't literally doesn't need me, but I feel like he needs me.
Well, right. And that's the thing. Like, here in the manifestation, we're so quick to say, I can do this, and I don't want to burden you. But it's like, you don't understand how much I hold you every moment anyway. Mm-hmm. And when we know that we're connected and that we're never letting go, that just like Tao never lets us go, nothing falls through. No matter how busy I am with work, no matter how much I have to do, there's still a part of me that's holding you and loving you.
Right. Right. Well, I'm going to drop in a few seconds, but thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I love you. Thank you.
I love you. And those tears, have them. Let them come out. Like, it's good. It's good. It's good. Yeah. It's beautiful to be here and know that we're connected. You can feel, and see, that's the thing about putting something in structure. I talk about the feminine and the masculine, substance and structure. The substance can be so overwhelming without a box to put it in, without a structure to experience it through. The feeling of not being in control or not being able to affect something, the feeling of not being able to, the feeling of not having something grounded, all of that is overwhelming when we experience it in its raw form. When we experience what Terilyn is experiencing right now, which is, like all of this overwhelming sensation, and doubt and not knowing. And she can allow her senses to run away with her. She can allow her senses to tell the story that she doesn't know, and everything's up in the air, and she might lose her son. And there's all of these things. Who knows what the stories are? I'm sure she didn't sleep well. Once again, your senses, when you don't sleep well, like, expand, right? They get even more off base. You have less, you're thinking clearly less than you were, right? So when that's pure substance, you want to be able to come back to something and put it in some sort of structure. And that's what we did by just calming down, remembering who we are, looking into the darkness, and learn how to yield, right? As it says here. What was this number that popped up? I forget. 52. As it says here, right? All things issue from Tao. It is their mother. Then in their own time, they return to Tao. This feeling, this overwhelming sensation, we can have that feeling. But when it is so intense, we don't know what to do. And when we don't know what to do, we can turn to food, we can turn to alcohol, we can turn to drugs, we can turn to sex, we can turn to all these things that'll pacify us from this feeling. And yet, as we pacify ourselves, that feeling just gets pushed away. That substance that was so overwhelming gets pushed away, it gets reduced. And then, what we did with Terilyn was put it in a box. We contained it. We made it something that she can experience. And then, when it's so overwhelming, and then you can get it under control, the idea that like, okay, I can contribute because I am part of everything, right? I'm not powerless. I can offer this energy and I can feel into my body. I can take that moment and just feel what it feels like to be overwhelmed in this moment. And when I do that, I can be inspired to offer up energy to, she can offer energy up to her son. She can offer energy up to the moment. She can just calm down. Like she's not a victim. So it says, choose to not recognize your mother. Choose to not recognize that she has something to offer this, and this is part of her experience. She becomes a victim filled with desire and judgment, that desire to know what's going on with her son, the desire to know that she can help, and judgment that she's on herself, maybe that she can't be there, or even she said, I know he doesn't need me there, but he needs me there. There will be no end to your turmoil. And then you just get, you just go into the cycle of turmoil. Just go into the cycle over and over again. And then it says, look into the darkness and learn how to yield. Not allowing your senses to guide you, you will find peace in every crevice. Melissa, how are you today?
I'm okay, Martin John. How are you?
Another okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to not let that overwhelm rest on me today.
You have so many things coming up. Is that what it is, or everything?
It is.
Yeah.
Fifth grade grades are due Friday. Fourth grade grades are due Monday. I got my. I'm trying not let that overwhelm me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Absolutely. You got a lot to do, and that's all the grades, all the things that got to get done. That's kind of like substance. Now you got to put it into a structure. You have to find the time to do it, and you have to sit down and then just, this is where segment intending is really helpful, when it's like, okay, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to do this, and this is the way it's going to play out, right? So if you do the 5th grade, and then you go out and get yourself some scallops, and then you come back and you're like, there's ways to, I say trick yourself, but reward yourself for doing what it is you're supposed to do, or what you want to be doing. Like, I know as a painter, when I'd be painting something, it's easy to step away and go to the bathroom or get something to drink or get do a little something, but but it's like, okay, I'm not going to step away from this painting until this section is done or whatever. I'm not going to step away from this painting until the alarm goes off or whatever, and I'll set an hour alarm or something. That way, even though it could be a little, hard at times, I'm here. Just do it for this amount of time. It's gonna be over soon, but I have to move forward. And by doing that, by doing the segment intending, by having a list, by putting it in a box, by seeing it in front of you, and then saying, okay, one after the other. And right now, until you leave for the Dominican, you're not going to have a lot of free time.
No, there's not going to be hardly any free time at all.
So what needs to happen is, one, you have to surrender to that. You have to surrender to the fact that there's no free time. And even in the Dominican Republic, it's not really going to be free time, but it's going to be exciting enough to keep your interest. So between now and then, you have to realize that everything is kind of a checkbox, and everything, and you have to have that in some sort of a structure. You have to, there's no sleeping in. There's no staying up late. You have to because you need your sleep.
I do.
So that means you have to you can't just stay up and watch another show. Like everything is now your job.
Yep.
Everything is like you got a couple days to be ready for your daughter's wedding.
I do.
And you have to do 5th grade and 4th grade grades. Like you don't have time to but what you can do is figure out how this is gonna, you need breaks, so utilize those breaks, but they can't just be, willy-nilly. You need structure, and the thing is you're gonna get this stuff done ahead of time if you just look at one thing at a time. If you look at the whole thing, you're gonna get overwhelmed, and you're gonna flail. And you're gonna lose interest. You're gonna feel like you can't do it, and you're gonna require more energy to do something simply because you're overwhelming yourself before you get in. And so, this is where it's like look into the darkness and learn how to yield. Like, yes, there's not gonna be free time, but you'll be surprised at how much you'll get once you finish a project. Once you finish one of those things, that darkness will lighten up. That free time will expose itself because you weren't expecting to have it. You have a number?
I do not. Would you be kind enough to pick one for me, my friend?
33. You are not manifestation.
I am not manifestation.
Study others and gain some knowledge. Study yourself and gain deep wisdom. Controlling others takes strength, but controlling your ego and desires takes power and perseverance. Knowing that you have enough gives you wealth. Grasping for money or love forces you to conform. And you can put free time in there too. Embrace who you are and stay centered in that. And although you will die, you will not perish. So, when we say study others, we've been talking a lot today about this idea of others being like my house that I'm, like if I just studied my house, I can gain some knowledge. But if I study myself and my relationship with my house, I can gain deep wisdom about myself and this relationship that I'm forming. Just like you in the grades or you in the you and the wedding, right? Like these are all others. If you study those, if you study the grades, if you study the wedding, if you study the all of that stuff, you can gain some knowledge, sure. But if you look at yourself and your experiences with all of these and what's overwhelming, you're going to gain deep wisdom, and that wisdom is going to help you accomplish all of these things.
All right, well, it's going to get accomplished. And, I like what you said about the segment intending. I sat there last night. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to get these essays done. I get this set of essays done. And, that's a lot for a night, and then today I'm going to work on the next set of essays. So, like you said, don't let it all overwhelm me. And I'm thankful that the ceremony's already written. I've gotten my dress. I'm leaving.
Every now and again, Melissa drives into a dead spot, and that might be where she is right now. So we'll just hold that space a little bit.
Done. It'll get done. It will get done.
It will. It will all get done. And yeah, I think it's
right, Martin John.
Power and perseverance, right? That's what it takes, right? And controlling your ego and desires. Your ego is to like all of this, but also your desires. Your desires to have free time, your desire to, and it's like, yeah, you control that. You don't have that right now. You surrender to the fact that you don't have free time. And when you segment intend, right, when you get into school, it's like, okay, I'm going to have class. My class is going to go well. My class is everyone's going to be great. And then when your class is over, you can be like, okay, I'm going to look at one essay. And as I look at that essay, you take that 30 seconds to intend what you want from this next segment of your day. And then when you do that, you say, okay, I'm gonna look over this one essay and I'm gonna do it joyfully. Okay, do that. And then, okay, class is starting again. And okay, well, now I'm gonna look at this class and I'm going to, I'm gonna be fun. This is gonna be fun. And then you go on to the next. I'm gonna be driving home. It's gonna be very fluid. I'm gonna flow and I'm gonna be aware. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be nice to drive. I'm gonna hear songs that I want to hear. Then you intend that for your drive home. And then when you get home, it's like, okay, I'm going to eat a nice healthy meal. I'm going to talk to my mom. It's going to be a nice night. Like all of those things. Every different segment of your day requires a little bit of intention so that you can focus on this segment rather than the whole day. Just like, because if you focus on this segment, you're going to have, 60 different segments in the next 4 or 5 days. Whereas if you only look at one day, you only have 4 times to, 4 intentions. Now you can break it down and each little section of your day gets to have a different little focus. And by doing that, you are more in this moment rather than just being in general, like overwhelmed or, whatever it is you're experiencing.
Well, thank you, my dear. As always, you help me see things differently, and I love you for that.
I love you. Good luck today in school, and if I don't talk to you over the next couple of days, there's a place in my heart for you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it, and I'm glad you're carrying me with you.
Yeah, you're doing great. It's going to be wonderful. I love you.
Love you.
Bye-bye. We all need to be able to do that. We all need to be able to, recognize when we're overwhelmed, recognize when we're, having feelings and surrender to things. You don't have to submit to being overworked. And I don't think that's what Melissa's doing right now. But there are things that need to be done. And there's a lot that needs to be done. She's going out of the country. She's going to officiate her daughter's wedding and all of these things. And she's got her teaching and the grades and all of that. Like, these things are things that have to be done. And you can surrender to the fact that those have to be done without having to submit to the abuse or other things like that. JK, how are you?
I'm okay. I'm a little...
Yeah, this is a third okay.
No, I mean, I'm always good. I just, we all get overwhelmed.
Yeah, seems like that's going on. It seems like that's going around.
It is. It sounds like it's the summer cold of 2026. Anyway, I was just wondering if you wouldn't mind picking a number for me.
Oh, sure. You having a rough morning?
Yeah, I'm just having I don't know. I can't, I had to go to the grocery store and I was crying in the grocery store. I don't even know why, I think I'm just working through whatever I'm working through and just trying to, it's not overwhelm either. I think it's just all the stuff I held on to,
Yeah, there's no necessity. We don't need to know why. I mean, we've talked about that, but it's good. It's good to, not always have to know why. And I think
I can
12,
come up with one.
Right. And I think that's what this random number that I picked for you, really kind of does talk about. It's the senses. Colors blind the eyes of men. Sounds deafen the ears of men. Flavors dull the tongues of men. Thoughts lead a mind to turmoil. Desires and greed lead a life to turmoil. Therefore, the master satisfies her inner vision, allowing external cravings to come and go. When I read that, especially when I'm thinking about, crying in a grocery store or having these experiences, colors blind the eyes of men, sounds deafen the ears of men, flavors dull the tongues. Every time you define something, every time you define something as what it is, you only set yourself up to be surprised at what it can be. When you define colors, you say, oh, that's there are verses that talk about, when you create something beautiful, when you say something's beautiful, when you define something as beautiful, you didn't create it. When you define something as beautiful, when you define something as colorful, when you define something as bright, you immediately create the opposite. Because if the moment you look at a color and you say, okay, that's the most beautiful color, well, that blinds you to all of the other colors. Sounds deafen the ears of men. The more you hear, the less you can, the less you can listen to. There's all of these things. And all of these things are experiences that we've had, right? They could be chalked up as to that. The experiences that we had as a child, the experience that we have as young adults, the experiences that we had that build the foundation of the frames of references that we have in our minds. And then, once we get through the color blinds the eyes, sounds deafen the ears, and flavors dull the tongues, it says, thoughts will lead a mind to turmoil. Thinking about these colors, thinking about these sounds, thinking about these experiences, thinking about all these things and how they could have gone better, or how they could have, whatever. Maybe I can look at my last experience and say, oh, well, my next experience, I can, I'll have more information. And that's great. But if I have desires and greed to control, that leads my life into turmoil, because I can't control other things. That's why we talk about living more reasonably. Because when we live reasonably, we don't want to control things. We want them to be what they are. There's no need to control them. They are what they are. And the inner vision doesn't have flavors or sounds or colors. Go on.
I just agreed with you. It's interesting because, I would always, like you said, think about, try to do better next time. And I don't necessarily think like that anymore. I try not to. When I do, my mind goes to turmoil, because I start really getting on myself, how did you miss this? How are you so blind? So yeah, that's, I did a lot of that. I did some of it recently, just, because I don't look for a lot of that stuff, I try not to. I don't know if I try either. It's just like, I think I told you, I don't like it's not that I don't like the subtle. I don't like the mixed messages. I don't like to try to interpret things, as much as I do that for my job. Like I can do it. I just want to live, I just want to do what I do and not be buried under. I spent a lot of my childhood reading people, and I don't want to read people, and it was reading people for my own safety, and I can't do it anymore. It's exhausting. And I don't, I really don't try to anymore. But I think there's a big fear in me about missing it, missing something that was so obvious. Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah. We there's no way around that. There's no way around missing the obvious thing. The obvious thing is so it colors blind the eyes of men. Like all of this obvious stuff, we're blind to it because we have these experiences. Thoughts will lead a mind to turmoil. Desire and greed will lead a life to turmoil. And that's why it says at the end, therefore the master satisfies her inner vision. What is that? And you don't know what that is. It's just like in this moment, this is what's happening. I don't have to tell a story. You know, it's the thing, you know, because we're so frontal lobe centric in our world today. Like we've been saying for generations probably, story is important. You got to get people to believe story. And really that's a marketing tool because it's a frontal lobe tool. You know, it's a tool of control. It's a tool of manipulation. And story is great. You know, we tell story about, you know, like we tell story about, you know, how the world was in the past with myth and all of these things. But they were really trying to express what was going on around them. They were trying to understand the world, and that happened to be in story, like Iliad and the Odyssey and stuff. But that was the birth of, you know, that was the birth of writing. I mean, what those stories looked like before they were written down, we can't know. The conversations that were happening around Tao, we can't know before it was written down. Once it was written down, we have these 81 verses, but that's it. You know, even in your life, like when you hold on to the past, you measure now to the past rather than just being here now.
Yeah.
You know, like, and it's funny how, you know, like we've talked so much. We've done so many studies on memory, and we found out that about 50% of our memories are wrong.
Mm-hmm.
If not more. And it's like, why do we think that we're going to remember things? If we give up on that, it would be so much easier for us to just be like, well, if my memory is only 50% right, well, then what's the point of utilizing it? Like, why don't I just live now? And if something pops into my head, maybe that's memory, maybe I mean, how many times have you experienced something and been like, did I dream this?
Mm-hmm. No, all the time.
All the time.
I don't remember a lot of stuff anymore, you know?
Yeah.
And it's I've let go a lot of that. Like, even I was in the grocery store, and I tell the story about being with my kid in the grocery store, and like, I didn't feel alone. I didn't feel, it wasn't that, you know, that I do remember. And, you know, being in this moment, my mind goes there. And I said, well, this isn't that. This is this, you know,
Right,
and
right.
I can bring myself back to where I am. And I think maybe, you know, it's interesting because it's not the shiny stuff for me. And I think it's letting go that that's okay too, you know, that's who I am. And I'm not going to see. I don't have to. I can be blind. And I don't have to see. And just really trusting that. And I think that's part of some of this transition that I'm, wherever the space I am in right now, is just really accepting that, you know, really accepting that part of me that I don't want to know. Like, you know, and I do trust that I'll know when it's there, but it's so hard too when you live in this time, for me sometimes, because it's not, you know, it is lonely. You said it yesterday a little bit, because there's not a whole lot of that. You know, somebody asked me to do a 5K, and I was like, meh, you know, meh. It doesn't sound exciting to you. I was like, no, not really. I don't want to do that. You know, well, you walk all the time. Yeah. So I don't run. No,
Yeah.
that's okay.
And
You know?
and you can walk that 5K. It's just like, I walk 5K like in my sleep. Like I'm going to do that day anyway. I don't necessarily have to do it with a group of people. Maybe I'd like to do that, but I'm you know, like it's a different thing.
I'm not inspired to. That doesn't
Right.
attract me.
Right.
And
And if somebody else, this is the thing, like I remember being, and I don't know who's asking you this, but like if you're in a relationship with someone and they ask you to do something, you're like, nah, I don't want to do it with you. You know what I mean? But it's like, oh, I want to do it with someone else. I want to do it with my buddy over here or whatever. I want to do it with my partner and I don't want to do it with this person.
People get all messed up.
And it's just like, well, and that's the thing. It's just like, the feeling that I'm having is no, I don't want to do this. I think we were talking to Melissa yesterday about that. Like someone was asking to keep their stuff at her house, and she was like, she knew that answer was no, but she didn't want to tell them that. But it's like, you know what? It's nice sometimes just to tear to pull the Band-Aid off. It's just kind of like,
oh man, I'm one of those. I'm not into just prolonging it unnecessarily.
Yeah.
Like I am. Yeah.
I'm not going to weaponize this or anything, but I don't want to do that with you. You know? And I don't have to say that to them, to their face. I don't want to do that. But the thing is if someone asked me to do something and I said no, and someone else asked me to do something and it's the same thing, and all of a sudden I want to do it, it's like, well, I guess it is with that person. You know what I mean? It's like if someone else says, hey, I'm going to walk this 5K. Would you do that? And it's like, and then they're going to see you at the 5K. And it's like, yeah, I wanted to do it with someone else.
It's a hard conversation, but
it's a hard conversation, but it's truth. And there's nothing wrong with it. And that's the thing. It's like, like we have to face these things. And these are boundaries, being nice and all of that kind of stuff is in our culture. That's all etiquette. And it just takes us down these convoluted roads, man.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's part of it. Like me just stepping into myself and having a lot of hard conversations over the past, I don't know how many months. I think it's just kind of settling into that and just doing what I do. And it takes me away from some people. It takes me, things fall away. It's just hard. That part is hard, a little bit hard for me, just to kind of let go of whatever I'm still holding on to that I don't even know what it is. I've tried to figure it out and I'm like, I'm done trying to figure it out. There's nothing there. So I don't know why, like I said, I'm always happy. Like I feel good. I feel held. But I don't know. I guess just trying to let this move through me, whatever it is.
Yeah. And it'll like that's the thing. We always you're going to drop off, but thank you. Love you. Good luck with your crying. But no, it's wonderful to be in that space. There's something that you're going through. I talk about, my chiropractor one time was doing some adjustments and doing whatever he was doing. He never really adjusted me too much, but, released something and I started crying. And as I was crying and he was continuing to do his work or whatever, he was like, you don't have to know what this is. Just let it go. Just let it go. You don't need to know what these things are. And they just need to settle. And I like the phrase moving energy. When I sneeze or when I cough or when I cry or when I feel something, whatever, it's just like, oh, I'm just moving energy. It's nothing that really needs to be focused on, but it's something that I can recognize and be like, oh, I'm moving energy. And I can just I got the hiccups or something. By allowing myself to say, I am moving energy, even whatever that is, right? Like whatever my hiccups are, that's me moving energy. And, by allowing myself to just say, I'm moving energy, it's just like I can surrender to it. I don't have to try and control it. It's just like, no, it's energy just moving through my system. It's all fine. No, nothing to see here. I was like, I can just witness it pass. And life is easy. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I'm Martin John. This is what I do with people. I chat with people and help them get a hold of what is going on and understand the process and living in a way that is more reasonable, and giving them hopefully helping them, find strength in their lives. And I love doing that. I do that here with the Tao Te Ching. I do that one-on-one in a different way. If you guys are interested in working with me, you can check out the links in my profile. You can set up a 30-minute free call to talk about working together. Or if you benefit from the work I do here simply by listening, and you want to support me and support this show, please feel free to check out the links in my profile. You can support me through Venmo or buy me a coffee. And you can also pick up a copy of my Tao Te Ching so you can follow along. I want to thank everybody. Thank you, Harry, for your first time being on here. Hope you enjoyed that. And hopefully you come back again too. Thank you guys so much for joining me. And until next time, keep recovering yourself.